Previously on our last wood boiler video, we struggled to get it into place with our forklift, but with a few tricky maneuvers we finally got it into its final spot by the back door. Continue to watch as Chris gets the wood boiler retrofit for our house furnace for this winter.
Alright, this down here is our basement. Looks like the bomb went off down here. There's my helper Riley. We're gonna start trying to put some of this PEX in for our wood boiler. There's not a lot of room with the way they ran all these electrical wires up top, but I think we're gonna try to run 2 lines all the way down and outside. Alright, our next step here is we got to get our water line into here, which I guess I should have thought about that more. That's Kelsey. Should have thought of that more when we put this wood stove here, because we put it on top of these pavers and I need to get underneath there. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do there, but I got to dig a trench, which I've started all the way to the end. You really appreciate having a machine when you got to pull out a hand shovel and start digging.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.
Alright, we've completed our excavation. Got a little channel over there going to Paris. Gonna come down here through this tree around the corner, and there's where it comes out the wall. So I'm just gonna run along the wall through the channel. Ooh. Through there, and now we just got to figure out how we're getting it into the boiler. See if I can maybe pull a couple of these bricks apart. Alright, we'll just take a couple of Alright, that's done. Alright, so as you can see, the weather has shifted and it's starting to get cold, which is forcing me to finish up this wood boiler, which I'm excited to have up and running, but also on the flip side, I'm not really excited about doing some of the work. Mainly because there's some fabrication involved, some welding, and honestly I do that all day long, where it doesn't excite me to go do it after work. So I've kind of been dragging my ass with that, but I think it's time that we get it done, because I don't feel like paying the gas man anymore for something that I can supply for free, other than hard work and blood, sweat, and tears. So I'll take you inside and show you what I'm working with. Alright, so here we are in the mechanical room. This is a look at the furnace we got. Nothing special. In fact, I believe it's straight out of the 70s. Hasn't been updated. Still runs fairly well. I've got our inlet and our outlet from our boiler roughly plumbed in here. And then right here is our heat exchanger. So the plan with this is this guy here is going to fit somewhere into here. Basically all we're doing is we're shutting our gas off, so we're no longer using the gas as our fuel source. We're using hot water. So the furnace will work exactly the same. When there's a call for heat, it'll flick on the blower motor. The blower motor will run the air up through our heat exchanger, which is getting heated by our wood from outside in our boiler. And the cool air blows through the heat exchanger, turns into hot air, and continues on up through our ducting, heating the house. So fairly basic. However, I need to make a place that we can fit that heat exchanger in here as well. The only heat exchanger I could find, this being 16.5 by 18, was 16.5 by 19. So not really the end of the world there. The only downside is I have to take this apart and build something to fit. So let's get at it. Alright, so I stand corrected. The furnace is actually 6 1/16, and we need to go to 16 5/8 to fit that heat exchanger. So I'll have to do a couple sides that kind of flare out and then they flare back in. I'm going to make this out of some 18 gauge stainless steel 304 just because stainless wise I got lots of it. 18 gauge, I'd like something thin that I can still maneuver if the size isn't perfect. I can still fit it over the flange that's in there. We're stuck together. Alright, that's our side piece. Flares out, then it flares back in to join back up with the piece we got. It's going to sit on the side like that. The other one on the side like that. Then we just need to make the front piece and the back piece. Alright, so here's a look at what we got, finished product. This is going to be the bottom side where the air will come up, so I've put this deflector down here so it just doesn't hit that straight edge of the heat exchanger. Other than that, that's kind of the air will come up through here. This will connect back to our branch, hopefully. And hopefully this will mount down to our furnace. Alright, so we just pulled off our access panel for where our pump and electrical connection is going to be. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this power cord that they have installed at the factory. That will get removed and our power coming in will get hardwired into the box. And then we'll repurpose this power cord for our pump, which will go in here. Alright, so there's a look at the spray foam off of those. They've just got plugs in there, so we'll unscrew those and we'll screw our fittings on that go from 1.25" NPT to 1" PEX. So let's take a peek and see what's behind door number 1. I don't know if this crescent wrench is going to go big enough. Oh, it does. Somebody left it outside in the rain. I won't name names, but it wasn't me. Barely big enough. An earwig. Why is there an earwig in there? Great question. I think that would be sealed off. Why would they? That's tight. I need a bigger crescent wrench. So we'll do the inlet first. It's fairly basic, other than the check valve I don't have. We're going to do a 90-degree 1.25" street elbow, followed by a 2" nipple. Then we're going to go to an 1.25" ball valve, then another 2" nipple. Then we'll run our check valve. Then we'll run a 1.25" to 3/4 bushing, and then right to our 1" PEX. So first is Teflon tape, and after that's this Blue Magic. Just don't go too far. Right there. And then after every fitting, I like to take a little sip. Just to let myself know that I did a good job. Alright, next is our outlet. We're going to go straight 1.25" to 3/4 reducer, followed by a 6" nipple. Believe it or not, there is a correct way to wrap Teflon tape. If you wrap it the wrong way, as you thread it in, the threads will catch the end of your tape and it'll unthread as you go. So when you put it on, think about how you're threading it in to make sure you have your end overlapping, so as you thread it, it doesn't come undone. So for our pump, based on our calculations on how much water we had to flow and at what flow rate, this is the pump that was specified. Taco 0015 E3. Nice thing about this one is it is a 3-setting pump, so you can set it either at low, medium, or high, and it draws very little power. So little. 120 volts at 0.54 amps, so that's next to nothing. Make sure you verify the little arrow so that you don't install that incorrectly. Alright, so let's make this electrical connection on this pump. Alright, so for my plan for this temporary install is, I've just used regular PEX instead of the thermal PEX that we're doing at the actual ranch. For here, it's just for 1, maybe 2 seasons. I don't want to spend the kind of money to buy Thermalpex here and then either leave it behind or you know, keep it in the ground and kind of waste the money because it's quite expensive. So I'm doing PEX. I'm going to insulate it with some of this PEX insulation, and then I've built a aluminum cover that's going to go over top of those lines, and then I'm going to also spray foam it. I'm not too worried about heat loss, just being that that boiler is way overkill for this house. So if I lose a bit of heat out those lines, it's not the end of the world. It's not like it's going to be cold inside the house. So the way I'm doing it, I think we'll be fine. And as long as I keep it running, I won't have to worry about it freezing. Alright, so we're going to get our electrical hole drilled. The wire we're using is a 12-2 NMDU, which stands for underground, which is direct burial wire. Thanks, Rob. So we'll get that drilled. Alright, we're going to cut into our hot water line and tee into it to run to our plate exchanger. Alright guys, so we're about to hack in our duct to put in our heat exchanger. As I've shown you guys before, this is the insert piece that we're going to put in just like this, and then our heat exchanger will fit in through this side. We'll run our water inlet and outlet into the front here. So we've got a mark out right now, 6 inches up. Cut that off, fold our sides, and then screw this guy in, and hopefully everything fits as planned.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity, it's a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go!
To last with the webs I'm weaving, I can change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop.
Alright, so that's that. It ended up fitting not too bad. A little tighter than anticipated, but we got her to fit, and I think it turned out well. Now let's see if this still fits.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off if I'm on this topic. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily spreading.
we'll see when we turn the fan on. There's a look at the back side. Obviously, as you can see, if I didn't mention it before, we made it out of stainless steel just because that's what we had. And there it is. So next we've got our T's here, which will run down to here. Now I haven't showed you already, but I've already plumbed in the heat exchanger. So I got my feed and my return line. They come over, and then down here I just made a quick little bracket where our heat exchanger sits. So these are our feed and return. And then over here we tapped into our hot water tank line. So our cold line here we tapped into, got a valve here so we can shut it off when we're using gas. Comes up, goes to a one-way check valve. Then it comes over into here where it's going to get heated by the hot water coming in. Then it goes out. We got another valve in behind here. And then it feeds back into our hot water line. And then we also put this valve in here so we would shut off this loop here so we're not sucking cold water out from the tank. Alright guys, so I ran out of time last night to show you hooking the chimney up. I ended up doing it twice because I didn't bother looking at the instructions, so I had to take it apart after I put it together. But anyways, here's a look at it. We just have a 2-stack, 8-foot tall chimney. And basically, first you pull off, there's a cap on here when you get the machine. You pull that cap off, it comes with a clamp. And then there's some screws that they have placed on top of here with this one cover over top. You take that off, you take the screws out, there's a rope seal that comes with the system. You put that rope seal into the chimney, then you slide the chimney on, and then you put 3 screws into the outside here to keep it locked in place. And then the second set just drops on and it twists into place, and then you throw that clamp right up there that was originally on this cap onto there, and then you chuck 3 screws into that into the 2 pipes to hold them together, and that's it. Our next step that we got our PEX inside finished today is we're gonna put 3 gallons of this moly armor, and what that is it's a corrosion inhibitor, so all these mild steel components won't rust. And then we're going to fill it up with water. They recommend that you do not fill it more than 1 inch to the full mark, being that once you heat the system, the water is going to expand, and if you filled it up too much, then you would be overflowing. So we'll see how steady I can pour this with the camera in one hand. Now, depending on if you have a big system inside, i.e. radiant floor heat, you would have to add more of these than the 3 gallons for a Clean Fire 900. Now, being that we're just running 1 line in, goes right to the furnace, then the heat exchanger, it's a short line, all we need is the 3. But when we get this up country, because our system is so long, we'll need to probably add a couple more. Now, I do have to mention we're not using just any regular water. We've tested the water beforehand. This is coming from our house. It is the correct pH, which they want between 6.5 and 8. You can hear it filling now. So yeah, that's one stipulation they do have. They also, once we get this filled, we have to start the fire and circulate the system for 24 hours and then take a test of what our pH and our moly armor is, and then we're going to send that sample in order not to void our warranty. Alright, so here's what I'm looking for. This is my site gauge to let me know how much coolant slash water slash corrosion inhibitor we have in here. The full mark's up here. So what they're saying is we don't want more than up to about there full of water before we get it started. Then once it's up to operating temperature, which is 185 degrees Fahrenheit, then we're going to check it again to make sure it's at full. But if we were to fill it more than that, we would be spewing out everywhere, since this is an open loop system, meaning that it's open to the atmosphere. There's no pressure in it. It's not a sealed unit. So we wait. Alright guys, as you can tell, it's now dark. I've been sitting by this stupid tube for the last hour and 15 minutes waiting to see something, and we still got nothing. However, the sound I'm hearing now is fairly quiet, which means I got to be close. But also, judging by my calculations, at roughly somewhere between 5 and 7 gallons a minute, I'm going to be here for anywhere from like 90 minutes to 120. Alright guys, not sure if you can see me, but I've got power turned on and I've got our wood loaded. Next step is to turn the unit on and then light the fire. You gotta hold it for 2 seconds. And then it says you want to turn on the ignition air. Alright guys, so it's been about 24 hours since we've had this thing running. It took two wheelbarrow loads of wood to get it up to temperature in a matter of I would say about two and a half hours, which kind of started to worry me that I was looking at the wood in the barn that I had and I thought, I don't have enough wood here. So then I loaded it up with the third wheelbarrow before I went to bed at 10, and it dropped down to, I believe, 4 degrees Celsius overnight. And then today it's been 6 degrees all day. And when I woke up in the morning I came out here at 6 and went and looked at it, and the temperature had dropped down to 170. Now it was supposed to stay at 183. I figured it was out of wood, so I quickly grabbed a load of wood, came over here, opened it up, and it still was full of wood. So anyways, I tossed that wheelbarrow in and I haven't looked at it since. That's what is it now, 3:30ish. So that's been 9.5 hours of running. It's up to temperature. You gotta wait for the fan to kick on. I don't know why it sounds the way it does, but it does. That's supposed to blow all the smoke out of the chimney, but as you see, as you still open it, it still is one smoky bugger. I'd almost like to throw some meat in here. I wonder if anybody's done it. Let me know if you have. So it's pretty close to the same it was this morning. Alright, so we're down here in our furnace room. We've had the wood boiler going for a couple weeks now. It's been going fairly well. We're running off our wood boiler. So once I had hooked it up, I had realized there were a couple things that I needed to change, just the way I had them plumbed in and hooked up weren't going to work. So the first thing I realized right away was I had wired this as if I had plumb this as if I were plumbing a regular fixture, where I teed off the main line, gone to the next one, then teed off again, which wasn't the way to do it. It needed to be done like a loop system. Basically, it feeds from one, and then it goes to the next one. Sorry, I just had to unhook the fan so it wouldn't come on. So what I did was, originally, as you can see here, I had teed off, gone to the furnace, then it went down to the heat exchanger. That would have caused the water basically to be fighting itself, and it wouldn't be properly flowing. So I've since gone, this is my hot water from the boiler, comes into the water to air heat exchanger, then it comes out here, which I've corrected, and now goes directly over, comes down to here to our heat exchanger, which is the hot water in. Then it comes back out of here, which is our return line, comes over, and then it goes back out to the wood boiler. So we've changed that. Once I had that hooked up, I realized that the Aquastat, which is this guy over here, that we had got supplied with the wood boiler, wasn't going to work. It was for a 4-wire thermostat, where our furnace is only a 2-wire. It's quite old. It's from the 70s. So I had to get my buddy Joel out here to take a look at the furnace, and he rewired it, put in a couple relays and contactors, and then changed the wiring inside, so that now the way the system works is, if the Aquastat detects that this water here is above 110 degrees, it will fire just the blower on the motor. And if this water temperature drops below that, then it tells the gas valve to kick on, and it'll fire the furnace as if it was running off a natural gas. So that kind of gives us a bit of a redundancy there, where if our fire went out and we didn't catch it for a day, or the temperature dropped quite a bit and it couldn't keep up, it would go back to natural gas. Now, with our hot water, I had that hooked up, and I quickly tested it and realized the way I'd hooked that up wasn't going to work. I had it just running that the hot water coming out of the heat exchanger went directly to all of our fixtures, which was way too hot. It was running at, I believe, around 150 degrees Fahrenheit, which probably would have started melting fittings in the taps, O-rings, stuff like that, and we would have had a major leak. So I picked up a thermostatic mixing valve, which is this right here, and all that does is it takes the hot water that comes out of the heat exchanger into here. It then has a cold water inlet here, and then you set this dial to whatever temperature you want, and it sends out the mixed water there, which then goes to the rest of the stuff in the house. So I had fixed that. Everything seems to be working good there. The way I got this hooked up is I've got the cold water where I've teed into here. It comes up here, goes to a one-way check valve, then it tees off, goes to our thermostatic mixing valve, and then continues on down to our heat exchanger where it's heated up, comes out into our thermostatic mixing valve, then it comes over and then back up. This guy here is our hot water supply line. I've put a valve in here to shut off the hot water tank so that we're not backfeeding anything. This guy has since been turned off, so it's not doing anything. And so far, everything's been working good. We've got endless supply of hot water right now, where we don't have to worry about draining our hot water tank. We've got control on what temperature we want to set it to, and same thing with our furnace. If we wanted to, we could crank the heat up. I tried that one day. I went from 75. I decided to set it at 78, and just those 3 degrees was way too much I had to turn it back down. We were getting way too hot. Alright, so we've had our wood boiler here hooked up for the last couple weeks, and it's kind of been hit and miss trying to figure this thing out on how to keep the fire going. After about a week, I finally got the coals where they were nice and established, and you know, you could chuck the wood on and you wouldn't have to worry about it going out. But then we had to go up to the property and I just let it go out, and now it's taken about another week finally get these coals back up and going, and for the most part it's been all right. It kind of comes on when it needs the heat, or it sees the demand from the house that it needs the heat, and it heats the water back up. So we've been heating the entire house through the forced air furnace. As well, I've got it hooked up now to the hot water. So all our hot water now is coming from this thing, which you get incredibly hot water off it. I just think our main problem right now is this boiler is way too big for this house. You know, it's meant for the property up country, so it just never has a demand for the fire to go. So it's only on for a little bit and then it's off. So I think I got a bit of tweaking to do on that. But here's kind of a look at where it's at right now. We just threw a load of wood in. It's just starting to get going there. You can see on the side, but I'm not filling it up that much just because it's, you know, this amount of wood will last a day, and it seems that if I add too much wood, then it just burns from underneath, and the embers and I can't think what the hell the word is for it. The fire just goes out. They don't keep stacking down. But otherwise, other than that, it's been great. You know, we're not paying for gas anymore, so that's nice. But we will see over the next month or so. We'll let you know how much wood we're burning. But as it looks right now, I think I think we're only going to be going through around a quart a month, maybe less. So that's that.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.